who are going to be showing me around. I am your bitch for that week, so don't worry.
Yeah, nice.
As long as we know both, obviously, far enough in advance, I'll make sure I'm
Maybe we
free.
can do truffles, because I won't.
Truffles?
Have you done truffles?
No, never.
Oh, I've done them recently. For the first
Really?
time. Yep.
What was it like?
It's awesome, but I took the recommended dose for somebody who isn't experienced with truffles is like 0.7 grams or whatever. Hey, 7? It's like 7 grams, I guess. I don't really know. The number is 7.
Yeah.
It's like 7 grams. And because they're pretty big, right? I guess.
Mm.
And I just took. That's reasonable, right? 10 grams. That's not that much, right? Physical mushroom weight.
Yeah.
That's
A tiny bit
right?
more.
I think I took like 11 grams, and the recommended dose for somebody who's never done it was 7 grams. But because I smoke so much weed, and weed teaches you so many lessons about managing your anxiety, you know what I mean, and like because you get paranoid and you talk yourself back into like, you know what I mean, you can kind of just overcome the fear, and you learn kind of these lessons. And I had a lot of faith in myself that I was going to be able to apply my weed lessons to the mushroom trip, so I wanted to take more. And it was great. It was awesome. I just slowly kicked in. Suddenly, I saw my ceiling tiles. I have like these wooden planks on my school house ceiling, right? And they suddenly started like waving, like kind of like the waves of the ocean, right? Like it became like this whole dynamic scene, and like my painting started to bleed, and like kind of just. But I was really comfortable. It was really nice. I was really scared.
So cool.
Yeah, but I was really scared when it was kicking in, because they say the hardest part is ingesting the substance, chewing on it, obviously, and you kind of just, I mixed it with chocolate because it's kind of gross. But I thought you could eat it with a big meal, because I know when you drink alcohol, you kind of want to have a big meal in your mouth, right?
Yeah.
But I heard that you shouldn't necessarily do that. That's not like a good idea. You just kind of want an empty stomach, or not like completely empty, but just like, you know, you don't want to like eat it with a meal, right? That's what I thought you should do. Anyways, I ate it with chocolate. Just like ate some chocolate with hazelnuts in it, so that it had chunks, and then mixed in the mushroom. You know, it just kind of tasted fine. It was fine, completely fine. And they say that and it was true. The hardest part is honestly keeping it in after that. The first 45 minutes when you're just sitting there, like, is my body gonna accept it? Because you've never had it. Your body might think, "What the fuck is this? Get it out of here! Get it out of here!"
Yeah.
I mean, you can still hold it down at that point, but it'll become a whole battle, right? So you're just kind of ready. You know, you're kind of anxious. You're kind of like scared. I was with my girlfriend, so I was able to express it. But once it really started kicking in, I was like shuffling cards, and they started to kind of like fade into each other, and it kind of felt
That's
like
so cool.
And I felt like I was high, like the same feeling when you're high. But when you realize you're high, you kind of start doing your thing, and it never really stays on that like peak moment. But this was like it was going crazier, like with the visual in the background now, right? At some point, and I don't know. I felt like I had to overcome that fear of like I'm gonna step into it and let go. You know what I mean? Kind of just like accept this is happening. I communicated it to my girlfriend. I accepted it. I accepted that I was scared. I just kind of gently. I feel like I was ready for it. Right? I'd never done them in my life. I'm 24 at the time. I was ready to do mushrooms, right? To try it. And I just had a great time. Just kind of could do whatever. I smoked a cigarette at one point, and like the light of the cigarette in the dark was the most beautiful shade of like orange pink. Like, you know, it really satisfied my palate picking when I'm making research back. You know what I mean? It was perfect shade.
Yeah.
And then it was like in the dark, right? It's super aesthetic. I don't know, dude. It was awesome. I was just happy. Felt very confident. I was just dancing. We just talked. It was also for me, and this kind of like open, or like, you know, kind of like talk about my relationship, I guess. But it was really like a bonding experience for us, because I have a lot of anxiety about like I have abandonment issues and like attachment issues at the same time, you know what I mean? So it's like this whole like, for me it took such a long time of like keeping like at a distance, you know what I mean, that whole shebang. And then the mushrooms really, the trip was definitely about us together, like me kind of just like, okay, I'm going through this crazy thing, but you're there, and I trust that you are. And she was also scared. She was like, oh, what am I gonna do? But I was like, no, you can't be like that. You gotta be like cool right now, right? Because I'm gonna go kind of like in a thing right now, and I need to be able to trust you, kind of thing. I don't know. It's just like it became a really spiritual experience between us. And at some point when you close your eyes, it's just, you know how there's visuals that people will draw, like people will go on acid and then they make paint drawings, and it's all like checkerboard patterns, like vivid colors and like whatever. You kind of get it when you close your eyes. You kind of get this flickering of like this vivid world that happens. yeah, at some point I felt the entire universe at once. That was definitely the height of my trip. I really felt a vivid distinction between mind, or like soul and body. Like, yes, I'm Mickey, this is my soul, but also this is my meat vessel, right? And I'm really in love with my girlfriend Frey, and that's her soul, and that's her meat vessel. Man, I got into weird territory, but it's.
That's
You've never
cool.
done it? Yeah, you've.
No.
We should do it.
It's one of the only things that I've not tried really, and I'm excited to try it. So I know I will at some point, but yeah, I'll do it with you gladly when I come around. Yeah,
They're illegal.
sound-
Truffles are not mushrooms. Truffles don't really make you hallucinate. Truffles just kind of distort reality. Mushrooms will have
Yeah.
you straight up have you trip, and that's why they're illegal. But truffles are legal.
Yeah.
You can just buy them. I mean, you should
They're
be cautious
legal.
with them, but yeah, they are.
Fair enough. Well,
they
that
come
makes
with-
it even more enticing then.
Bro, they come with this inscriptions. There's like you get this card that tells you what to do and how to handle everything, right? And there's like a phone number you can call, and
That's good. That's good. Well, yeah, for sure, I'd be down for that. Yeah. Yeah, I've always thought that obviously hallucinogenics I find really interesting. The idea that you could literally experience something, a feeling or a sight or a sound that you could not describe to another person. That idea of discovering something new that you cannot document is really intriguing to me. Can you imagine a color that doesn't exist? Like
No,
a color that doesn't already. You can't, can you?
I think I'm literally incapable of doing it.
We are literally incapable of doing it. That's what we're limited to. And you can't imagine like a sound that doesn't already exist, you know?
It's so interesting. We always credit human like creativity, but honestly, we can't imagine shit. You know
No.
what I mean? Like our creativity is just like a side product of like I don't know us trying shit and being like, oh, I did this. Like we have just too big of an
Yep.
ego. Like we hit a thing. It's like, oh, I made sound. No, that's just action reaction. You're attributing value to it, man. We're so dumb.
Yeah. We really are. We really are, bro. But no, I do find the whole process of like trying out these things really interesting, and that sounds really good. I should look forward to that.
Okay, what do you
but
think?
yes.
What do you think of the notion that I was talking with my girlfriend about this, and she said that she straight up she thinks mushrooms is not her thing, right? And I'm like, okay, whatever, it's cool. I mean, obviously she shouldn't try it now. Like, I mean, I'm a bit older, obviously, but what do you think of the like? If it's such a vivid experience, which I can guarantee you that it is, wouldn't you like just by ingesting a plant and sitting down for a night with like a close one, or like you should probably have a trip sitter, right? Just that's like doing it safely, but like just for the experience, like don't you think that wouldn't you want to not miss that? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like there's a lot of people who never have that experience, right? Straight up people like boomers, they're never gonna do mushrooms, dude.
I kind of do and don't understand why though. It's a weird one to me. Like I feel like people are brought up and they sort of get given this innate fear of certain stuff. Just think like, this is not a good thing. Anyone who does it is not a good person, and it's that simple. Like you don't need to think any more about it. And I think a lot of people get brought up with that mentality, and therefore that limits them in what they might want to do. But to me, like you say, it's always that idea of like, what if I can do something which could be interesting or unique, then why would I like limit myself from doing that based off of this fear? Like I've come back from worse, like I've struggled through.
That's the point.
Yeah,
I mean, it's fine.
We've all struggled through years of like bad mental health shit. Like I was a husk of a human being for my entirety of my high school experience. I came back from that. I have lost so many friends and experiences and relationships, and I've always come back from it. So I'm like, why would you be so terrified of something that can be equated to a hangover? That's the thing that I find intriguing about it, right? Because that alcohol's equivalent of the reason why.
Maybe that's it though. Maybe that's maybe you need to have gone through a certain level of trauma to even desire that. Maybe you kind of you know what I mean? Do you relate to that? I don't know if you relate to being traumatized. I definitely do. I don't want to take on that.
Nah.
I don't want to take it on, but I will acknowledge it. You know what I mean?
It doesn't sound edgy at all. We can talk therapy shit. I have been seeing a counselor now recently, and I admitted to them that I had a history of anywhere from like alcohol abuse to simply just drug usage, and they were just like, yeah, I can see why. That's fair. Like they just thought to themselves like this checks out. It's what I would expect for someone in your position. So fair enough. And
kind of deal.
yeah.
Anomaly. Just
Yeah,
shitty
yeah, yeah.
circumstances. All right.
They weren't judgmental about it. They didn't even warn me not to. They were just like, just be careful, you know, just like make sure you know what you're doing with everything you do, and you'll be fine. Maybe
That's a
that's all
good
it takes.
attitude.
Maybe it takes for us to have gained some balls to try fun shit. Do you get
Yeah,
what I
but
mean?
yes, I do know what you mean, but I don't want to
Mm,
dismiss my girlfriend saying I don't think that's my thing. You know what I mean? That's why it's like
yeah. You can envy someone in her position, right? Because it might mean that she simply
doesn't need it.
does. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
right? I don't
Well,
know.
it could also be maybe, but it's a good theory. It
Mm,
could also just be a curiosity thing, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Would you consider yourself curious about these kind of experiences?
oh, that's hardcore my thing. I mean, I have a
Yeah.
few hard lines that are just like I won't even
Yeah.
debate you on it, right? There's sort of like
Yeah.
meth and even coke. I know a lot of people do coke and they say they're
Mm,
functioning, but I don't really would just even like the way nicotine like hooked me. I don't need to fucking
mm,
get coke out of here. I mean, you say you're a high functioning coke addict, whatever. I don't really buy that shit, dude. Whatever.
yeah. I
What
get you.
else? I mean, crack is obviously the same as coke, isn't it?
Yes. I think for me, I agree with you. The hard line there would be at something like meth or heroin, where it's just like,
Heroin,
I
classic.
don't know why anyone would do
Fentanyl
heroin.
is like a big one now, right?
Fentanyl. Yeah, I've heard of that as well recently. Do you know what lean is, by the way?
Yeah, I met a guy once at the bus stop, and he offered
Yeah.
me a hit from his blunt, and he was drinking blue shit in like a Sprite bottle, like a
Yeah.
bottle that it was like Sprite, so it was supposed to be clear, and it was blue. And I was like, "Hey man, what is that?" And he was like, "It was lean. Do you want a sip?" And then I said, "Yeah, I kind of do want a sip. I don't." And I
Mm.
kind of figured, if he's drinking it like that, it's probably you probably need to drink a lot of it. So I just kind of took a
Yeah.
sip to just get the tastes. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm familiar with lean, man. I've had some lean once from a
I
stranger.
haven't
That guy could have given me
actually tried
COVID.
it.
That was during COVID. I'm a wild guy.
That was
dude.
during fucking hell.
Yeah, I didn't give a fuck, dude. This guy,
Right,
dude,
clearly
yeah.
not. Jesus. I mean, yeah, fair. Now, honestly, like I have I've seen about this recently because it's become very popular, obviously in America as well. It's basically all it really is, frankly, is the process of just getting high on a little bit too much painkiller. That's it. That's actually all it is. Like if you mix lean as it
Morphine?
should be, yeah, things like codeine, morphine. There's a number of other ones which would actually generate the hallucinogenic effects. But you could literally just take too much painkillers and you'll get there. Like it's the same thing. There's
Did
just
you
this thin
hallucinate, though,
line.
on lean? Like, did that guy? How do you think that guy experienced giving me a hit from his
No, it's like it's not hallucinogenics. It's more of like a euphoria state, kind of similar to
morphine?
yeah, yeah.
Never
Well, yeah,
had it,
exactly,
I've described
exactly.
it. Yeah.
I've never had it either. I've known people who've had, operations in
Well, it's
America
supposed to
or
be like
something like
ultimate
that. but-
contentment. You're just like, I'm fine forever.
Exactly, exactly. That's like it's the drug of being content.
Couldn't you just do that though? Forever? Like a little bit of. What if you just did that?
Well,
A little bit of-
because it won't work forever.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Your body becomes accustomed to anything. So that's why you got to be careful, I guess.
Parties are rigged, dude. We gotta hack
Yeah.
the Tony Stark suit.
Right? It's fucking stupid, isn't it? Why can't we just like hack our bodies to just like feel good all the time? Like,
Well, we need attachments because our bodies are basically a perfect organism that can sustain itself, and all it needs is input, and then it needs to shit and piss out, and then sometimes it needs to come. Like I guess.